All right, welcome everyone to our Pikes Peak APEX Rider Spotlight. Today, we have a brand new national champion here joining us. He also finished a second in his age group at the Pikes Peak APEX at our inaugural race last year. Hey everyone, welcome Nick Gould. Hi, Nick.
How's it going?
Great. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to join us this morning. I know you just came off of a hard 100-mile gravel race this weekend.
107, but you know who's counting.
Right. Hey, those 7 extra miles count.
They do for sure. Especially when there's like tons of attacks going off and you're trying to chase the Legion top crit riders in the country in a sprint.
Yeah, and you've already had a super busy race season because we see you're wearing the Belgian Waffle Ride t-shirt as well.
Yep.
So anything else?
That was a great race. It's worth noting that was one of the most insane races I've ever done in my life. It was right up there. Just so hard, so hot, so hard, so much climbing, so much competition. You're basically on a road bike. You're on single track. It was just crazy.
Crazy fun though? Crazy fun?
Crazy fun when I was done. Crazy fun. There were moments of fun on the single track where I'm like, okay, this is fun, but I was basically just melting the whole time, fighting off cramps, fighting off dehydration. It was humid and it was hot and it just got hotter. And the course is just like so difficult. It's like they're trying to just see if they can break you all the way to the very end. They're like, you're 125 miles into a 130-mile race and you hit the biggest climb. And it's like 5 miles long with like 2,000 feet of climbing with a 20% grade at the top. And it's just like, it's almost comical. You're like, holy smokes, like this is intense. But you get done and you're like, that was so badass. Like I did it. And, you know, I'm drinking a beer now and I'm alive. I didn't crash or have a mechanical or overheat and have heat stroke out there. I think I did actually have mild heat exhaustion. Because I was pretty out of it for a few hours. I just kind of had the 10,000 yard stare, just dazing off. But yeah, it's one of those races where you're just like really proud of yourself for the accomplishment. And those are the ones that you remember, right? The hard ones. So it was cool, unique.
Absolutely. So speaking of races that are memorable, you've been in Colorado Springs for about 3 years now. What was your first reaction to hearing that RockShox was sponsoring this big 4-day stage event in your hometown with this really sweet prize purse?
Stoke level 1,000. Yeah, I mean, all the things, right? Like, sleep in your own bed, race on your own trails. I'm pretty connected with SRAM and RockShox. I do product testing with them, and I know so many people that work there. And it's just a relationship that I've been building with them over the years. So to see them step up as a title sponsor and to have that kind of money, it's great. It's super great. And I'm really excited this year because last year my wife's due date was during the race. So it was a little stressful and I definitely got in a little trouble for racing. And I wasn't probably as present as with my training. I was just kind of, looking at my watch the whole time, waiting for a text. But the baby didn't come until 5 days later. I got to do the race and it all worked out. But this year, the baby is here now, and I can really focus on my training more specifically. And funny note, I got second last year in my age group to Josiah Maddow, who is actually my coach. I hired him after he beat me by so much because he was 4th overall, and he just absolutely crushed it. And he's my age and has 3 kids. And I was talking to him at the finish, and I was like, dude, like, that's amazing. You have 3 kids and you're my age and you did so well. Like, you are my hero. Like, I need to learn from you now that I'm about to have a kid because I'm all nervous. And I hired it. Yeah, we started working together in like January. And, you know, he's been so great. I'm such a role model. And he's not racing this year because he has like a Xterra or some other event that he's doing. So that's good for me.
Definitely a bonus for you.
Yeah.
Get rid of some of that top competition. And I love your strategy of just hiring the coach who beat you and knowing that you're actually a coach yourself. How has your training changed from last year to this year then?
Well, so I haven't really been specifically training for the race yet because I've been doing mostly, well, I did like the cross country mountain bike race thing. So that was different. And then a lot of gravel events. So the actual stage race specific training hasn't begun yet. And that will start here pretty shortly, I'm sure. And like, you know, the month building up to the race. But yeah, just hiring him and learning from him. I mean, I'm just always a sponge. Like as a coach, I think it's important to like always be reinventing the wheel and always progressing and just taking a little bit from everything that you're always learning, and you're just always evolving. Like you never just like have it figured out. Like you can always learn more in life and in coaching. So yeah, like why not hire the guy that like beats you, right? Who better? Especially being that, you know, he's, you know, can do it, you know, with being such a great dad at the same time. And that's the kind of dad, you know, that I want to be. So, but yeah, I guess I do a lot of volume with the gravel racing. All the races are so long. They're just epic. So you kind of get, you check off all your boxes in those gravel races. You get your endurance, you get your thresholds, you get tons of time and tempo, you get VO2 max, you get like all the energy systems taken care of in one of these gravel events. So it definitely helps, you know, having not as much time to train as I used to do a gravel race and know that I've got that endurance and whatnot. And then I can focus on my intervals during the week and do more high intensity stuff, the specific VO2 max, the specific lactate threshold work and intervals essentially. And it's a good balance of having not that much time during the week because I'm being a dad and I'm working, but then, you know, and I'm fortunate to have support of such a great gravel team to be able to go to these big events and fly out to them if they're far away. And that really helps a lot because you can race a lot more when you're not paying for it out of your own pocket, and just having good support is super, super crucial. And it makes you, you know, the more you race, I think you get mentally and physically stronger, and you can train all you want, but there's no training like racing. Racing is its own animal. And so yeah, I don't know if that answered that question as so specifically, but I do look forward to doing more specific stage race training here once I've got a couple of big races coming up. I've got a Steamboat Gravel and then Gravel Worlds. And those are both, Steamboat Gravel is 140 miles, Gravel Worlds is 150 miles. So those will be good training. And then after Gravel Worlds, it'll be like specific Apex stage race, back-to-back days training.
Oh yeah. So rewinding back to the Apex last year, which stage did you have the most fun? And at which point in the race did you find yourself maybe struggling a little bit?
It was hard. It was hard. I suffered a lot in that race. I wouldn't say I felt super great any of the days. The day one, I had like the best power. I think my legs were fresh, but I went just like super hard. And I remember going up Rampart for day two, and just instantly, as soon as we started going up Rampart, the pace got so fast, and I just had to settle in. I was like, okay, don't stop trying to like stay with the next rider ahead of you, and just like, this is a long climb. I know that climb. Had the KOM, got taken from me in the race. And yeah, I just settled in there. That was a tough stage. The loop around the reservoir was challenging after that huge climb. And I didn't crash, but there was like some tight rocks that you kind of chicane that you go through, and I like hit my hand on the rocks, and it kind of like it shredded my glove, and I got some blood on my hand. Kind of hurt. And then you have to climb back up to the finish, and it was really hot. That was a really hard kind of ending. I think there was a headwind, so that was tough. Stage 3 was really tough. Like once we hit the dirt on Gould Camp Road, same thing. I was just like, I gotta settle in here. And yeah, so that was, and then stage 4 was probably the hardest. That was the one that I just had nothing left going up high drive. It was like a cross country race. These like 18-year-old Devo boulder kids are like shredding my legs off, and because they have that like super high VO2 max, and it was, and my legs were just destroyed by the time just going up, even like in Bear Creek, but especially when we hit high drive, I was like, okay, like, and I actually came around a little bit climbing up Buckhorn and felt pretty good at the end, and was able to secure my top 25 overall. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard. Like I said, I look forward to training more specifically this year than I did last year. I hope to do a little bit better, a lot better actually.
Yeah. So
top 15, top 10.
Top 10. I like it. I tried for a top 10 last year too, and I think I was like 25th. But
it was crazy competitive because there was no other races. So because of COVID, everything canceled, and then all of a sudden we've got like 30, 40 grand on them, whatever the cash purse ended up being, and like it was like a national, like all the hitters showed up, and people were like, dude, I thought you were gonna win. People were saying that you won the Strava challenge. They were saying that like you were gonna like be one of the top guys at the race. What happened? Like, and I'm like, dude, what happened was like every fast mountain biker in the country showed up here, and it was like crazy fast competition. I'm just stoked to make this first wave of riders. I mean, other than Josiah, I was the only other one over 40 years old, and it was all like the Bear development kids. There was like 5 of them. I was battling with them every day. There was always a Bear Devo kid in front of me and behind me every single day. And the Boulder Devo kids were really strong. So it's just like, it brought out so much talent. It was very, very deep field. So yeah, like that, it was extremely competitive race, which is awesome. You know, like everybody coming to Colorado Springs, checking out these trails. It just kind of put Colorado Springs on the map so much more than any other mountain bike race I think that's ever happened here.
Yeah, and luckily this year we are separating the pros who are battling for the cash payout from the age group. So everyone will have a fair shake at prizes this year, and no one gets a chance to double dip. So that's definitely incentive for those who might be like, oh crap, well, Russell Finsterwald and Nick Gould are racing. Like, I got no chance. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I'll have to do some deep soul searching for which category I want to race in.
Same. So for those who do travel, and there are a lot of people travel from out of state for the Apex, are there any cool places in Colorado Springs, like must-see sites, or like you have to eat here type of places that you'd recommend?
Oh man, well, one place that like is like hands down my favorite, my wife and I's favorite little spot that we love that not many people know about, even locals, is the Odyssey Gastropub. It's downtown on Tejon, and it's like super chill. There's never a line. You can walk in, get a table. There's always like a good game on. They always have what you want to watch on TV at the bar. The bartenders are awesome. The wait staff is awesome. The food is killer. It's not too expensive. You can get, I think it's one of the best burgers in town. They have this green chili, bacon, fried egg on top burger that is just like next level. Really good. They always have like rotating craft beers, always a good IPA. Every month, I think they're changing that list. And it's like chill. It's like Cheers. Everybody kind of knows your name, and it's like a small town vibe, and it's not super fancy, but it's nice, and it just like hits all the things that you want. So I really like the Odyssey. And Cerberus is always, you know, a great restaurant, killer beers, great burger, awesome out if you want to be outside. They have a great patio. So as far as restaurants go, I would recommend those two. If you want Indian food, we really like the Sherpa Cafe is pretty good, and we like Little Nepal out. It's kind of far out on 8th, but I really love their chicken tikka masala. Yeah, and then, you know, for touristy things, if you have the time, I mean, you're going to see so much of it in the race. Like Garden of the Gods, you know, obviously, I guess maybe go up the toll road and maybe taking a drive up Pikes Peak would be worth it because the views are so epic, and just you can really get a lay of the land from up there, or even just going up Gold Camp or Cheyenne Canyon is super cool. Taking a little hike. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that locals insight, because especially I'm just driving down from Fort Collins and I'm like, where do I go? Where do I eat? I want to eat something good, and because I'm in the middle of a race and I don't want to waste it on some, you know, something.
There's so many places too, and there's a new place. I live in Old Colorado City, and there's a new brewery that's opening like any day now called OCC Brewery, and it has food and it looks sweet. It's right next to the CrossFit here, and it's like 2 blocks from my house. So I'm like, sweet.
Lastly, Nick, why do you think it's important for the local community plus the mountain bike community to rally around an event like the Apex?
Because you got to support your community. Community supports community, right? And it's like community is like, when I think of community, I think of family. It's kind of your extended family. You've got your tight family, and then it kind of like ripples out to your community. And that's one thing that I really like about Colorado Springs. After moving here from Durango, Durango has just a phenomenal community. It's quite a bit smaller, but the cycling community there is amazing. There's like all the communities there, and they all just kind of rally together. And I lived in Denver for a short stint before we came to Colorado Springs, and it was really hard for me going from Durango to be in that big metropolitan city, and I just didn't feel that vibe. It was really hard to connect and find those smaller groups. And then moving to Colorado Springs, it was like really easy to get involved with the cycling community and the high school mountain bike racing community, and it felt like a really good balance between like Denver and Durango. Just right in between, you still get all these cool things that a city has to offer, more culture, you know, more restaurants, music, sporting events, things like that. But then it also still had that kind of small town vibe in these little pockets. So yeah, I think it's important, you know, because you can be a part of something. You can kind of like, you can play your role, you can provide. Everybody's good at something, right? And if you can bring what you're good at to that community, then you add to it and you make that community more special. And so yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, and I think from racing to just riding and enjoying the views and the different stages each day, to volunteering, like there's so much that the mountain bike and just the cycling community as a whole can bring to the Apex. And I think the really cool part about the Apex is we're supporting parks and the recreation in Colorado Springs. We're supporting the advocacy and building of new trails and maintaining the existing trails in the area as well. And I think that's super important to remember, that we are stewards of, you know, these lands.
Totally. And since the Apex, you know, they built new trails for the race last year, like in Palmer Park. And then like since then, there's been other new trails sprouting out in like Red Rocks and the Lions Trail. And the trails are like, they're really good. They're being really well done. They have kind of a flow vibe to them. There's lots of jumps and berms, and they're exciting trails. And it really adds to, I mean, me just being such a mountain biker, and like to have fresh things to ride is so important, right? Like you can't just ride the same trails all the time. You get burnt out. So, and just being able to link your favorite rides together with more efficiency to have better flow on your rides, like even just like a little like 5-minute section can like make your favorite ride so much better because it cut out a road here. You know, you don't have to mess with cars there, or it just saves you time. You don't have to do this like crazy epic climb that you don't have time for. And it just makes it more spider webbed and everything tied together. So yeah, so thank you, you know, to those trail builders and Medicine Wheel and everyone who's out there, you know, doing the hard work, helping, you know, with the ear. Everybody knows we have crazy dirt here. We've been getting a lot of rain. It can just shred the trails. So it's a lot of work to maintain them. And I really am grateful, you know, for those people. And I'll get out there one of these days. Once my kid's a little older, I get a little more time, I'll be out there.
Get you some good trail karma in there.
That's right. I'm overdue. I need to show up with the Highlanders on their trail building day and move some rocks.
Got to earn your dirt there, Nick. Well, hey, it was super rad talking to you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Have so much fun on your upcoming Steamboat Gravel and your other races, but mostly we can't wait to have you back at the Apex and watch as you battle for that top 10 this year.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thanks for having me. Super stoked for the race this year. And I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of competition. And I really look forward to it.